Hey guys, I'm Stuart Breeding and welcome back. I'm standing here today with my good buddy Jordan. Jordan just came down from New York. He's getting ready to go into Special Forces. He's leaving for the military in June.
Well, the goal is Special Forces, but I'm just going into the military for now.
Goal is Special Forces, awesome. So he is going into OCS, and then we talked about you're going Ranger School.
That's the plan, infantry school, Ranger school selection.
Awesome. So he's come down, he's looking to get ready. And we did a lot of stuff today. He spent time with Dr. Tiff. We did VO2 testing. He's done a body comp. We've got all that great information. And what I've done is kind of put it on the board behind us. And we're going to talk a little bit about his program design that we're going to set him up with for the next 8 weeks to make sure that he is prepared and ready. And he is the ultimate Jordan that he can possibly be. So with that in mind, hopefully you guys can see my lovely whiteboard back here once again. And I've drawn a big circle here. Now, Jordan and I have been talking for all the way through this, so some of this will be a little bit redundant, and hopefully it'll stir some more questions in him. But this circle is kind of representing his overall fitness level. And on the bottom third of it, this bottom 70% of this circle, I have written base. So that base training, we're really looking at our M series workout. So we're recommended that he do our 30-minute hits starting with the 5M. And once again, that's including muscle endurance, cardiovascular endurance, strength, body composition. Because of the hip, we're going to put him in a very high state of fat metabolism, and then also cardiovascular. So all the dimensions of fitness are going to be represented in that workout. On top of it, performance variables such as speed, agility, power, reaction time, and all important balance. And we've already done a workout design today. I've taken him through a 5M design. We had a component of each one of those. And was that your first time that you had done that kind of session? Clearly it was. So a lot of fun, and I think eye-opening. Most people, when they hear, okay, I'm going to do a 30-minute hit, really? Like, what am I going to get out of that? How long what kind of workouts had you been doing?
I mean, I like to make it different every time. It's either going to be a long rock, I try to make it intense, big incline. I try to focus on endurance, whether it's, throwing in 100 pull-ups, 400 push-ups, or if I'm running,
400 push-ups.
But this was something different. This was different.
Yeah. Very, very interesting to watch him. You probably can't see it behind me, but I've written his VO2. He had a 52.6 VO2 capacity, which is excellent. It's tremendous to walk in and get that kind of VO2. So his cardio is already very efficient, and you can hear from a lot of the stuff that he's been doing, a lot of the training, it's really helped to increase that. He was also a former football player, so he's got a good base already, but we're going to make him better. So anyway, in this 70% zone, this is where we're going to focus on those high-intensity interval training sessions. We want to focus on those because we want to get him in a high state of readiness in all fitness categories. We don't want to over-specify in any one of those categories, such as maybe just rucking, just running, or the push-ups he mentioned, which is muscle endurance. That's awesome, but we've got other dimensions that I had mentioned before. Now, he's going to be moving, hopefully very soon, in as a Special Forces soldier and operator. It is my belief that tactical athlete has to be at a high state of readiness at all times. All those dimensions of fitness and performance need to be ready to be deployed. If we overtrain him, if we undertrain him, if he's injured, it's not how we want to be deploying our soldiers. So 70% of that base should be that 5M, that hit series design, where he is flexible, he has got strength, he's got power, stability, muscle endurance, all the above. Now, from there, that leaves us with 30%, the remainder of the whole fitness pot. I've written a couple of things up here: hypertrophy, strength training, cardio, and for us, and we were talking earlier about how he could maybe introduce other cardio days into his program. And I was saying that 30% really is our sport-specific kind of realm. And for him, he's moving into the tactical arena. So what I was talking about was we could blend a couple of different things. For instance, combatives into some extra training, and specifically his low intensity days could be combatives. He could do an hour of jiu-jitsu training. And when I say low end, for him, that's a heart rate of 125 to 149. That's the lits we're always talking about. His hit range is 150 to 175. Okay, so we're basically looking at about 70% all the way to 100%, roughly split in half. He's got a VO2 test that specifically shows him how to do that and lays out those heart rate ranges. But if 70% of that base is taken with the big picture, that 30% should be specific to the individual. And as time goes by, let's say he knows he's deploying to an urban environment. Well, I would want to be spending more time doing combatives because there's a good chance that there's a hand-to-hand scenario in there. If I'm being deployed or he's being deployed to Afghanistan, he's going to be rucking a lot at high altitude. We need to shift gears and make sure that that 30% is represented in that training. He still has the base. He's still doing his hits. He's still comprehensively a great athlete. It's just we're specifically moving into different arenas depending on what the job and the mission requires of him. Any questions on any of that?
I mean, all my questions are answered. Aerobic, like threshold, aerobic threshold, that was something important to me. Something to see on paper where, you know, what I need to work on, whether I'm overworking a certain
So he's holding here, guys. So these are all his heart rate ranges in here that are represented in 4 sections, but then we just basically split it in half to kind of simplify that process. This is his in-body, and we'll talk about that in a second, and as we get into program design. I'm going to lay this out specifically, but he's got all the data, and once again, you know, we're looking at him from the inside out. Everything that we do for him is going to be tailor-made for him. He's working with Tiffany, macro-based nutrition program, certain amount of protein, fat, and carbohydrate that this body needs to be the ultimate performer he can be. Certain intensity, fitness intensity variables that he's going to need to be the ultimate performer as well. So, anything you want to add real quick?
Definitely something I really didn't think about before was balance and stability. And I clearly saw during the hit where I lacked a lot of that, and that's something I don't want to come haunt me when it comes down to being injured or potentially just working something the wrong way and I end up having an imbalance. So that's something I want to focus on.
Yeah, absolutely. And you guys will see on the film a little bit. We saw that he had valgus in both knees. Basically, when we were forcing him to stabilize, his knee was shifting pretty severely to the inside, and he kept falling over. Well, this is a stability issue. Balance is kind of a broad word for what he's talking about. It's a stability issue, and a lot of it comes from you know, training in a way that doesn't ready us for a dynamic environment. The reality of movement is we're moving on one leg and then the other. Most training has taken place, especially strength training has taken place, standing on 2 feet in an axial load, bar is on our back, and we're distributing the weight across 2 legs. We don't move this way, folks. We don't move like kangaroos, right? We move on one leg and then the other. If you're not training that way, you are not training functionally. And I'm not saying don't squat, don't deadlift. He was deadlifting today, but we can perfect and help to organize and make more symmetrically balanced mechanics in his body by focusing on one side and then the other. And I think it was really apparent when we were working today. So it was cool for him to get awareness of that. A couple of things before we move on to his program design, and it will help when we set up his program design to get an idea of what his body composition is. It'll help us kind of direct his training. And real quick, on his in-body, we saw that he had 112 pounds of muscle. You can see by looking at him, he's got plenty of muscle tissue. He came in, I think it was 11.2%? 11.3% body fat. That is a highly athletic body fat. But if we look at the pounds of how much fat was on his body, it was 27.7 pounds of fat. In the tactical world, ounces are pounds, pounds equal pain. And that is never more true than we're talking about our own body. He's toting around 30 pounds of fat. Now, our goal is going to be to sustain that muscle tissue. He doesn't need to gain any more. We want to sustain that muscle tissue, and we want to attack that body fat. If we can get him down, let's just say 10 to 12 pounds of fat. If we get him down to 15, somewhere in that category, 12 to 15 pounds of body fat, he's going to be single-digit body fat. He's going to have plenty of energy. He's going to be eating like a beast because he's training like a beast. And we're going to remove 10 pounds of fat off his body, which is going to make him pound for pound a better, stronger, tactical athlete. And that should be the overall goal, is we don't want to just be putting on mass on our body unless it is actually translated into a stronger athlete. So if he could jump, let's just say he can jump and hit a 10-foot rim weighing, what was your body weight?
112.4.
Body weight.
No,
Somewhere on there.
I'm bugging. 217.4.
217. So if, let's just say from a strength perspective, we want to make him stronger, we're going to put 10 pounds of muscle tissue on him, right? Right now at this body weight, he can hit a 10-pound or a 10-foot rim. If we add 10 pounds onto him and he can still hit that same rim but no higher, I would argue he is not a stronger athlete. Many people would look at that and go, wow, that's great, he gained 10 pounds of mass. Who knows what mass it was, and he can still hit that 10-foot rim. If we put 10 pounds of muscle tissue on him, he had better be jumping higher than that, or we just added 10 pounds of useless mass that as a soldier, he's got to hump around out in the field. Not a good idea. So we're going to be right back with his program design.